9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Sam here, live United People's TV. It's the 10th of November today. It's Thursday. We play Villa again. The same team that we lost to 3-1. Was it 3-1? I think it was 3-1 on Sunday. It was a pretty dismal defeat. And it's a game that United will be hoping to bounce back from. I'm here to speak about that. I'm going to run through my predicted 11 that I released yesterday. And you can let me know what you think about it live in the comments. I'm going to speak about team injury news, about Anthony, about Jadon Sancho, about Anthony Martial. And we're going to have a conversation this morning to begin with this show about Enzo Fernandez. The Argentinian midfielder moved from River Plate to Benfica in the summer. And quite a few United fans, I remember props to Stephen Howson. I remember him doing a scouting video on him quite a while ago, actually. He's had a breakthrough season at Benfica, a club who is currently unbeaten in the league and currently unbeaten in the Champions League, topping both the league and their group. And Enzo Fernandez is one player to watch for sure. We're going to be speaking about him this morning. Who's down here in the comments, though? Let's have a look. Tyler, I can see you there. Bully, good morning to you. Walter, how you doing? Ian Nugros. We've got Hickme, Elvis, not that Elvis. John, how you doing, buddy? Rejo, Sang Chiang, Giles Hewitt, Ricky Thompson, Nashman Red, Stephen, Jason. Who's on Facebook? We've got Stephen Lawrence, Matty Plahay. We've got, who else we've got down there? Ian Cartwright, good morning to you, my friend. And Abdul Mahid Jamiu. Good morning to all of you. I'm sure there's going to be lots of names that I've missed. But trust me, I'm not just ignoring you. It's just that I'm looking down at the names that are on the list at the time. But look, I think this is going to be a pretty interesting chat. I think I've told you about this before. Ian, I can see you down there too. Quite a few people are enjoying the shirt. Hey, look, I love retro United. I love wearing United shirts, but I don't want to wear any fucking Glazer shirts. So I have to go retro. And this one's a banger. This one is a banger. I've still got a few of these to give away, actually. So make sure you stay subscribed to the channel. Or if you stay subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I might do one on Friday. Because Friday, you definitely don't want to miss Friday's stream. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. But Enzo Fernandez, this is definitely a rumour that piques my interest. Now, the first thing, which a lot of you are saying down here in the comments, which is correct, is we should have been in the market for Enzo Fernandez in the summer. Now, I wanted to pose a question to you. Before I run through the story from Record in Portugal, we take a quick look at Enzo Fernandez's stats, what sort of player he is and how he'd sit inside this system. There's something that I want to ask you, because Benfica, I believe, actually, there's no club in Europe over the last, I believe, 5 or 6 years that has made more profits on player sales than Benfica. They really are fantastic at identifying players, scouting the right players, bringing them through in Benfica, and then selling them on for a massive profit. Now, Enzo Fernandez is probably going to be the latest example of that. I believe they signed him from River Plate for in the region of around 15 million euros this summer, and he's had an absolute stunning breakthrough season. Question I want to ask you is this. I know we've asked about this, and I've spoken about this in quite a lot of detail, actually. The fact that I want Manchester United and our scouts to be able to identify players like Enzo Fernandez before they have their breakthrough seasons. But do you think that's ever really going to be the case? Because I think the reason the teams like Benfica, maybe Red Bull Salzburg to a lesser extent, but certainly Benfica, certainly Portuguese teams, they have the ability to thrive in a league that's somewhere between the Argentinian Premier League and the actual Premier League, and the Portuguese league sits in the middle, and they've got the time to sort of grow as an individual. Whereas if Enzo Fernandez was to come straight from River Plate to Manchester United, would that same growth have been there? I mean, the talent is definitely there, but they certainly get a little bit more of a softer entry into European football, and maybe that adds to it. And Evan, I think you're completely right about this comment down here. Now, I've already told you about the content that I've got prepared for next week. I'm going to have a video on 7 attackers that Manchester United should be scouting during the World Cup, and 7 midfielders, and also 10 of the best youngsters. I think these are 3 videos that I really want to do ahead of the World Cup, because I'm going to be looking at the World Cup from with my United specs on. And Enzo Fernandez was one of those midfielders who I said that we should be scouting. So we're definitely going to be scouting him now. And let's go to the story here coming from Record in Portugal, saying this. Now, the Argentina final squad hasn't been announced yet, but Enzo Fernandez is widely expected to be part of it. And after the season he's had with Benfica, you'd be absolutely amazed if he wasn't. Let me go down here and see what a few of you are saying about Fernandez in the comments, though. Palistri and Garnacho, Palestra and Garnacho and others were signed 2 years ago with that in mind, potential stars. Buying from Portugal is safer than buying from Argentina or Brazil. Ian, I think that's a little bit part of it. It is a little bit part of it. In the idea why Manchester United don't ever really, you know, Javier Hernandez, for example, that was a gem that we picked out of Guadalajara, and it was what a signing that was. But it's hard to get those sorts of signings correct, isn't it? Or maybe it isn't hard if you've got the right scouts. Tyler, you're saying, Sam, it shows our scouting system is one big mess and needs to improve massively. I can't deny that at all. Celtic got Jota for 6 mil from Benfica. No, didn't know that. What else are we saying down here? Typical United could have signed him for 17 mil. Moses Caicedo is a really good example there. That's a fair point. There are Alvarez, for example, going to City after City signed him from River Plate and then loaned him back to River Plate and then allowed him to develop across the course of the season. Enzo Fernandez, by the way, who passes the name test. Enzo Fernandez, that's 10 out of 10 on the call scale. He passes the name test straight away. We could have Fernandez and Fernandez in midfield. There's some sort of ABBA song that's going to be coming out there. But look, this is what the story is. It's saying that several top European clubs are following Enzo Fernandez as a midfielder, with Manchester United being crazy to try and sign him in January. Now, as I said, which you all know, Enzo Fernandez has only just joined Benfica this summer. And he's had an absolute corker of a breakthrough season. And from when you look at what Manchester United need, when you look at the weaknesses inside this squad, when you look at that playmaker that we don't have, well, we do have in Christian Eriksen. That's a little bit unfair, but we need more of them. We need another one of them. You take a look at Enzo Fernandez's heat map here. He's somebody who certainly gets about. He's not someone who will just do it. He's not a Casemiro type player. And he really is, well, just take a look at this. He's quite an impressive young player. And by the way, he is young. He's only 21 years old. Look at that. 17th of Jan. What year was he born? 2001. Huh! Makes me sick. Makes me feel old. But yeah, look at these. These are the most important ones, these three here, I think. In terms of progressive passes, he's in the top 1 percentile compared to midfielders over the last 365 days. Passes attempted, the top 1 percentile, and passes completed, the top 10%. And in terms of, expected assists and goals, non-penalty expected assists and goals, shots, he is an aggressive, attacking and a tackling midfielder. On paper, when you look at what Manchester United need, Enzo Fernandez does tick a lot of the boxes. From an age perspective, he's got his whole career ahead of himself. He's Argentinian. He's got that dawg in him. But yeah, I imagine he is one of those players whose stock is really going to rise after the World Cup. I imagine the price of Enzo Fernandez is going to go up. I imagine the price of Cody Gakpo is going to go up. That's just two of my guesses going into it. And Andy, look, as I said, Andy, there are exceptions to the rule for sure. And Javier Hernandez is a really big example, I think, for United. Julian Alvarez is a far more recent one with City. I'm not saying it's impossible for players to do that. I'm saying it's a little bit tougher, and that's why clubs like Benfica, their business model is really smart. Have excellent scouts in and around South American regions, not just South American regions, but quite a lot of them. Sign players for 15 million, sell them for triple the price, if not more, within the space of 12, 18 months, rinse and repeat. It's something that they really do well. Sanjay, you missed my 6 months member super chat. Why are you putting in caps? Anything you put in caps, dude, I'm not going to read out in caps. You know that. You know the rules down here. And there's nothing that's popped up here. There are no super chats for me, so I'm not sure whether YouTube's showing something wrong, but no, there's nothing there. All right. Please don't shout. Please just don't do caps. Gets on my nerves. Benfica won't sell cheap. Hey, look, Sam, I won't deny that. I will not deny that. But when you look at what he's done at Benfica, when you look at what sort of player he is, I really do think it could make a lot of sense for United. This one makes sense. George is saying, Sam, what happened to a striker? This is the thing. Manchester United know that we need multiple signings. We've got stage one of the rebuild included Anthony, Martinez, Casemiro, Eriksen, and Malacia. That was stage one. Stage two, we've got coming ahead. We need, first and foremost, in my opinion, we need a replacement for Ronaldo. And then you can have an argument as to whether you think the second most important, in my opinion anyway, I think there's an argument to be had about whether the second most important signing is a right-back alternative for Diogo Dalot, or whether you think it's someone like Christian Eriksen, and we need another Christian Eriksen inside the squad. I think there's an argument to be had about those two. In my opinion, by far and away, the biggest priority is a striker, right? It is a striker. But someone like Enzo Fernandez, he was signed by Benfica, 15 million in the summer. He's probably going to go to the World Cup. He's one to watch. He's going to be on my scouting list. I'll be watching Argentina. I'll be watching as much of the World Cup as possible here on United People's TV, and I'm gonna keep up the daily streams this morning. You'll see that the branding's going to change a little bit. I'm going to make it World Cup focused and World Cup centric, and I'm going to be focusing on players I think United should be looking at. So picking out individual performances, and we can have a discussion every single day. It's going to be a lot of footy. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not in the World Cup hype yet. It's weird, but I'll probably after the Fulham game I'll start looking forward to it. And Ben, I think this is a pretty fair comment. I've done my video on Jude Bellingham early this week. In a fantasy land, I'm picking Jude Bellingham all day long. All day long. In reality, I accept, and this isn't me saying, "Oh, Sam, this mentality, this is what the Glazers do." And it's like, no, not really. This is just United will not be spending like we did in the summer every summer. It was, I hope it's not a one-off, because it was, I genuinely do feel that given everything that's happening and how competitive the Premier League is getting, you're going to have to look at somewhere in the region of 150 million net spend per summer to keep up with the teams in and around you, especially with what Newcastle are doing right now. Do you think we will buy in Jan or wait until the summer, Pete? My gut instinct tells me we'll wait until the summer. And I suppose Benfica will say the same thing as well. They're currently top of the Portuguese league, haven't lost the game. They top their Champions League group with PSG and Juventus in, I think, without losing a game. And Enzo Fernandez has certainly been a big part of that. Ian, you're saying that striker is number one target, and then depth across the board is needed, especially in midfield. I completely agree with that comment. Rolex, you're saying, Sam, I love Eriksen, okay, but he can't track back. He doesn't mark. I mean, he can, but it's not the strength of his game. It's never been the strength of his game. And you can't expect him, certainly at that age, all of a sudden, oh, he's great at tracking back. No. Christian Eriksen is a playmaker. He can be a playmaker from deep. Realistically, probably his most favoured position is a number 8 or a number 10, rather than anything to do with a number 6. Unfortunately, Harry, there will be no watch-alongs ever here on United People's TV, so don't get your hopes up. I will be doing that as well, Third. We'll be speaking about how United players are playing during the World Cup. We'll be speaking about players we should be looking at. It should be an interesting one, I think. Enzo probably cost him 25. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was 25 or not. What else are we saying down there? I totally agree that Enzo will be more realistic. Centre forward, centre mid, and right back. That's our top 3 priorities. I think so as well. I don't know in my head which one I see as more of a priority. Another Christian Eriksen type player, or a right back alternative to Dalot. I suppose we'll find out against Fulham when we don't have Diogo Dalot, and we see how we play, and whether or not maybe Malacia can come in and do a job at right back when we need him to. I like the fact that midfield was a major problem and Ten Hag seems to be slowly resolving it. I do agree with that as well. Chris, you're saying pretty obvious that they get young players to come to lesser leagues. As I said, that's part of it. I think that's part of the success of Benfica's scouting system, because they can snap up South American youngsters, give them a year or two to flourish inside the Portuguese league, and all of a sudden they're hot property inside European football, and they can sell them on. Matthew saying, are there any good strikers as free agents in January? Well, there won't be any free agents in January, but there'll be players like Choupo-Moting, who United aren't interested in, apparently, according to now latest reports from Germany, thank God. Their contracts run out in the summer, so they are free to speak to clubs and get pre-contract agreements with clubs outside of the domestic league in January. Curious question down here, because Stephen, you spiked my interest there. How much do you think Enzo Fernandez, hypothetical situation here, right? Hypothetical situation. How much do you think Enzo Fernandez would cost? Right, so I believe Benfica signed him for in the region of 15 million. Probably, let's say between 15 and 20 million. How much do you think that he would be worth if Manchester United, after the World Cup, go and we attack Benfica and we try and sign him? Because if you look at it, it might be a Luis Diaz type situation. This might be a perfect Luis Diaz type situation, where Manchester United, we've got Enzo Fernandez down and we've circled his name. We say, you know what? We want him in the summer. Why not just accelerate those plans, sign him in January and take that out of the budget next summer? Get the player in 6 months earlier, take a step ahead. That's what Liverpool did with Diaz, and it really helped them, although they didn't win anything that season anyway. But let's see how much you think down here. 100 mil, geez, 50 to 60. And I see there, buddy, you're saying 70 after the World Cup, 50 to 60, 75, 55 after the World Cup, 70 based on the Darwin Núñez. And geez, Núñez one is a good point. 85, but that was after Núñez had an absolute, well, an elite level goal scoring season. It's a little bit different. 65 to 70. Tielemans, yeah, I think that's one who's going to be free in the summer. It's a good point. 35 to 50. My gut instinct would tell me, Dave, you're saying depending on his World Cup, around about 40 million. I would imagine probably somewhere around about the 50 million mark. Maybe 40 million, rising to 50, something along those lines. But if United were interested in him, and we are interested in him according to reports in Portugal, then that might be something that we test the waters for. Now, as I said before, this is definitely going to be one of those conversations, a bit like Moises Caicedo, saying, why are United ignoring these sorts of players? It is a little bit different with the pressures of being a Manchester United player, but we have to get better at identifying these players. Yes, it's a little bit less risky to sign someone from Benfica than it is to sign someone from Argentina or Brazil. But if your scouts are good enough, if your scouts are thorough enough, then your scouts will hit. Your scouts will identify these players that will be able to adapt and come straight in to the Premier League. And I'm going to reverse to it again. But the Javier Hernandez example is when United can do it right. Snapped up from Guadalajara before the World Cup, had a stonking World Cup with Mexico, if I remember correctly. I think was it 2010? I think it was 2010. And then he came and scored in his debut by kicking the ball in his own face against Chelsea in the Community Shield. But it is possible. Craig is saying, look, Agent Martinez. And if you've had the privilege of watching Enzo Fernandez play, he really is he's got a little bit of everything. He's got aggression in his game, depth with the ball at his feet. He can be a playmaker. He has got a range of passing. He has a dynamic movement set. He's not somebody who just sits in one position, and he can also swing and across and score some goals. It's certainly the sorts of players we should be looking at, right? 21 years old. Ideally, we'd be able to scout him a year before that breakthrough season. But I mean, we do need to risk reward. Manchester United have tried to avoid the risk reward over the last, majority of the last 10 years by spending big on big names, because technically that's less risk, but not really. Because if you get the scouting wrong and you sign a player on massive wages, then it's even more of a risk and it's blown up in our face. So I completely disagree with that comment. It's about getting the... That's what I mean. If your scouts are good enough, the risk is diminished. That's the importance of a good scout. So I think so as well. Agent Casemiro as well down there. Jeez, get those... Just make the whole club South American. Get them all in. Just fighters. Absolute fighters. But look, that's an interesting one. Enzo Fernandez is going to be part of my scouting video next week. There's going to be a series. One on the attackers we should be looking at the World Cup. One on midfielders we should be looking at the World Cup. And one on youngsters that we should be looking at the World Cup. Those three in the build-up to the World Cup before it starts. I hope you enjoy those. So make sure you drop a like on this video if you do want to see those. But look, let's move forward to tonight. We play Villa. Oh, the idea of losing to Villa 2 times in 5 days makes me sick. And I'm sure it'll make Erik Ten Hag sick. But I'll tell you what, if Manchester United were sitting, I think we are, if Manchester United are taking the League Cup seriously, then I think we're taking it even more seriously after what happened last night. Fulham, knocked out. Chelsea, knocked out. Arsenal, knocked out. Crystal Palace, knocked out. Tottenham Hotspur, knocked out. Brentford, knocked out. West Ham, knocked out. And Derby, you silly bastards, could have knocked out Liverpool on penalties, but they lost on penalties, despite the fact that they went 1-0 up after 1 penalty each. But look, a lot of teams got knocked out of the League Cup last night. Malps, you're down there saying, I'd rather be out of the League Cup. And I'm sure there will be quite a few United fans who would share that sentiment. The League Cup is bottom of the scale. In terms of, we've got the League Cup. In importance this season, it's the League Cup, then it's the FA Cup, then it's Europa League, and then it's the Premier League. They're the 4 most important, well, they're the 4 competitions. And let's see what happens tonight. Because I'm going to run through my personal predicted team and also the team news that we know going into the game tonight. Because after that game against Villa, it's Ten Hag will be demanding a response. I'm going to speak about his press conference as well. I might even do an extra video for you if you're lucky this afternoon. I normally don't do a video in the morning of games because we've got the game coming up in the evening. But I was so impressed with the press conference yesterday from Ten Hag that I almost think it's kind of like a talking point unto itself. Stu Backer, my absolute don down here. Jeez, gifting 10 memberships. Everyone's second favourite Stewie behind the guy from Family Guy. My bad. You're my favourite Stew. No, beef stew, actually. I like beef. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let me read out the 10 names. Next level things. David Cooks, Lyndon Lonstrup, Ferdhouse. No, not Ferdhouse. Daniel Darks, Mika Webb, Pedro Ramos, Ragnarok Games, Luke, Frederick Magendi, and Pauv Auja. Auja. You are the lucky 10. But thank you very much indeed, Stu. Don, helping the community. And I'll tell you what, tomorrow should be the day. You definitely want to be joining in for tomorrow's live stream. That's all I'm going to say at this moment in time. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, and I'll be releasing a couple more teasers. But I think tomorrow is finally the day. And I think if you've been following me long enough, you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't think I forgot that, Jason. All right? I don't think I did. But look, let's run through the team news that we've heard about ahead of tonight. Jadon Sancho, Ten Hag is still waiting to find out. And Anthony, again, the same thing. Jadon Sancho has, of course, been missing with kind of like a mystery illness. We don't really know why Jadon Sancho has not been playing. I have no idea. Anthony, he has a hip issue. I don't think Anthony will be starting tonight. I'm not sure Anthony's going to be in the squad. All these players, I really feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for him. I have an element of sympathy for them. Like Anthony going into that, if Anthony is playing tonight, at least 75% of his mind is thinking, don't get injured, don't get injured, don't get injured, don't get injured, don't get injured. I guarantee you, it's weird. But Jadon Sancho, I don't know what's going on with Jadon Sancho anymore. I really, really don't. A little bit more update on the team news is Ten Hag's confirmed that Martial will be getting some minutes. He said this: as you have seen, Martial was back for the last 20 against Villa. So we are happy with that. We hope he can continue this tomorrow. He will be in a squad. He will have minutes, definitely. if he's recovered well. And I hope he is, because I want this bloke in the starting 11. ASAP Rocky. Really. We've missed him. It's I've said this earlier. I think there's been so much progress and positivity this season. There's been massive speed bumps from Brighton, Brentford, Sociedad, City, and Villa. There's 5 speed bumps so far this season. I'm sure there'll be more. But we still haven't played with the front three that's our best front three. We haven't had Rashford on the left, Martial up front, and Anthony on the right-hand side in a Premier League game. I'm not even sure in any game so far this season. And still, there's been a lot of progress. If we're looking at the big issue that we've had this season, it's a lack of clinical finishing. It's a lack of chance finishing. And we've missed having Martial. And he was speaking about Ten Hag. This is what he said, actually. He goes, he's a very good manager, a very meticulous person who pays attention to all the details. He wants us to produce good football with this desire to press for the loss of the ball. It's perfect for me and my style of play. Pav, you're down there saying, oh my God, thank you very much for the gift. Thank you very much indeed to Stu himself. Alex, you're saying, look, I'd like to see Mengi and Shoretire on the bench. If the game is made safe, get some minutes. Well, that's what you should be able to do in games like this. But rarely do United do that. Have we? I mean, I'm not even sure if we have actually been like 3 goals. Have we been 3 goals ahead in a game under Ten Hag yet? I know we've been 2 goals ahead. I can't remember whether we've been 3 or not. You can let me know in the comments. Right, let's move on to my starting 11, okay? This is the 11 I predicted. I said that I think we're going to be seeing Dubravka in goal. I think we'll keep Martinez in defence with Dalot because Dalot's missing for Fulham, so I imagine he'll start him tonight. And I put in Maguire and Malacia, so I switched out Lindelof and Shaw. For a midfield 3, I went for Casemiro. Let me bring this bad boy up. I went for Casemiro, my man. I went for Iqbal, and I went for Bruno. And the reason I did a lot of this was because of the spine of the team. I said this. I said, if you look at the drop-off that we had against Sociedad, Ten Hag will not be wanting this. I think we'll see these 3 play. Oh, yeah, we beat Sheriff 3-0. There you go. Did we beat Sheriff 3-0? It was 2-0. Can't remember. Anyway, this is my predicted team for tonight. I think I didn't predict that we would see Sancho anyway. I think you see Garnacho on the right. I've gone for Pellistri on the right. Sorry, Garnacho on the left. I've gone for Pellistri on the right-hand side. We need to see somebody on the right-hand side actually, doing those sorts of runs. Because Anthony, as good as he's been, whenever he's played, he's just done that, cut inside, and he looks for the shot there. That was a wonky little arrow. Pellistri, I think, deserves his opportunity. He's now fit again. Let me know what you think about this as the starting 11. Varane, of course, he was fit for the World Cup, but he's not fit here. Let me see what you're saying down here. Stephen, I never want to see that again. Ever. No, ever. I don't think Ronaldo will be starting tonight. I don't think Ronaldo should be starting tonight. That, for me, is... Mark, you're saying, why rest Rashford? Because I am. And you're saying, is Pellistri motivated? Word, he's desperate. I mean, we don't know that. Again, these are all assumptions and these are all things we're seeing in the media. We need to... Erik Ten Hag needs 2 things that he currently can't find in everything that he's tried so far. He hasn't been able to find anybody to play over here who's a good alternative to Anthony. He hasn't really been able to find anybody here as a good alternative to Christian Eriksen. And that's why I've gone for Zidane Iqbal and Facundo Pellistri. Because they're 2 things that he hasn't tried yet. And because they are experiments, I put Casemiro alongside him. I put Bruno alongside him. That therefore gives Iqbal the best platform to succeed if he was to start. Now, he might not start. You might see Fred there or McTominay there. I don't know. This is just a guess. But I'd like to see Pellistri get a chance. And Bruno would set the tempo up there. That's why I'm putting Bruno in. That's why I think so anyway. David, mate, we've tried this, man. We've tried this. Anthony Elanga's not an elite level right winger. He is a good squad player. There will be games and occasions where Anthony Elanga makes sense. Not when you start a game and you want to dominate and you want some creativity. That, for me, is not where Anthony Elanga is going to be playing. Charles, I'll put Dubravka in there. I mean, if you're gonna sign a second choice goalkeeper, surely you're gonna play him in the League Cup games. Surely. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the point? Quite a few of you would love to see Iqbal play. Iqbal was somebody who, man, he was really impressive in the preseason. But there's a big difference between preseason and the Premier League and the League Cup. Even the League Cup, we've seen it. We saw how good Manchester United were in the preseason. Then we lost our first 2 games against Brighton and Brentford. So I can't judge everything on what I've seen in the preseason, right? That's why, Pixie, you're saying, look, Fred and Scott should start. Neither of those are a Christian Eriksen alternative. We've seen that. We know that. That's just the case. Therefore, that's why I would like to see Iqbal put into a midfield alongside Casemiro and Bruno. I'm not saying put Iqbal in midfield with McTominay, because then I think it will be too hard. It will be far tougher for them to control the midfield in that sense. But that's what I think. And remember, by the way, that Villa are going to be up for this game. They've already just beaten us away from home. The idea that Villa can beat United 2 times in the space of a week in Emery's first 2 games, that's the perfect start for a new manager. So they are going to be bang up for it. I imagine they're going to play a very strong team. That's what I think. So anyway. Nana saying, Sam, when will you come to Ghana again? Not sure, actually. My mate's still out in Ghana. I'd love to go and visit again. Game of Beans, you might be right here. And my 11 might be wildly wrong. There is definitely a possibility that Ten Hag just puts out his strongest team, especially after this. Chelsea are out, Arsenal are out, Spurs are out. The 2 big hitters left in the competition are City and Liverpool. City beating Chelsea last night and Liverpool beating Derby on penalties. And Stephen, again, back up to the comment there that somebody said about he's going to put out his strongest 11. This is part of it as well, because they will definitely just pile it on. If we lose tonight, Villa back-to-back defeats, that will put a lot of pressure on beating Fulham to go into the World Cup break in good form with a little bit of momentum. But that's my starting 11. Let's see if it happens. And I think, for me personally, that this man's starting. I think Casemiro, the drop-off that we saw against Sociedad, Casemiro was in that team as well, but that was a different Casemiro. That's not this Casemiro now. This is a settled, fit, and confident Casemiro. And I think he should be starting this game. And Dudley, while I wouldn't go as strong as to say as whatever happens tonight, I think that Pellistri should be starting. We need to find an option on that right wing. The answer for Anthony not being there is not Anthony Elanga. The answer when Anthony is not there is not Marcus Rashford. So who else can go there? Jadon Sancho, he's bang out of form and he's currently ill. So Pellistri, give him a chance. He's impressed in 2 pre-seasons so far. We signed him for 10 mil. Seems like the right opportunity to use him. As long as he's been impressing enough in training. The reason Garnacho was kept out of the team for so long was because his attitude wasn't there. Now, we don't know. Maybe Pellistri is going to be in that category at this particular moment in time, or maybe not. Maybe he's been working really hard and he'll get his chance. Quite a few of you there in the comments talking about Kobbie Mainoo. I would imagine we'll see him on the bench tonight. I don't imagine we'll see him start. Scott, you're saying Pellistri is not the answer on the right. How do we know? We've not asked the question. He's not been playing on the right-hand side. And he's impressed me in this preseason. He impressed me in last preseason. He's broken through into a very, very good, by the way, senior Uruguayan national squad. Very good. And he's part of that now. So Pellistri is probably someone whose stock is going to go up after the World Cup. A few of you in the comments talking about Donny van der Beek. I mean, Donny van der Beek can't be starting tonight, can he? Not after the last 2 games he's had. I don't think so, anyway. Might be wrong. Fatty, you think that Van der Beek is definitely going to play tonight? I don't think so. I hope not. I don't mean that in a massively disrespectful way, but I hope not. I want to see Bruno playing that number 10 position, and therefore there's no space for Donny van der Beek. It's either number 10 or nothing, really. And I just don't think he should be there. This I found to be a really important little talking point, little segue here. Marcus Rashford. You're looking at how he is now, and he looks like a man who's transformed, doesn't he? As long as he doesn't play on the right wing. Let's ignore that game against Villa and let's talk about the form that he had previously. And there was an interview that he gave with Manchester United I thought was pretty interesting. He was saying that having a bit of a mental break is something that helped him recover his form. And I want to go through and read the quotes out. He said this. He said, "It was time away from everything. I think physically I needed a rest, and I probably needed a rest for a while, but mentally, just to have 2 weeks or whatever it was, just to switch off, it's something that I probably don't do enough because we're obviously really busy and there's always something to look forward to, something to work towards. I didn't know I needed it, but when I've had it, when I've come back and even towards the back end of the holidays, I just felt in a different headspace, to be honest." And I think it's that bit there that I wanted to focus on. Because it's very difficult to realize how important it is. The way I would compare that situation there and what Marcus Rashford is being open and honest about there is a little bit like the conversations around the 4-day working week. Because traditional working week is 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. But in Scandinavia, they've shown with evidence, with tests, with examples that there's more productivity in a 4-day working week when you give your workforce the ability to rest and recuperate and a little bit more time off. They'll be more productive in those 4 days than they will by working longer hours. And it's about working smarter, not harder. It's something I really, really believe in. And Rashford there saying that he didn't know he needed it is part of it. And that's why these professionals, that's why this season is so ridiculous. To have everything that's been asked of these players and then the World Cup and then come straight back. It's like it must be exhausting. And we saw the tolls of it on Rashford. But he is playing far better now. I think he'll be in that World Cup squad on his current form. But I just found that as quite an interesting point. The fact that he said that I didn't actually know I needed it. Like yesterday, I was working on lots of stuff here. I spent a few hours on Photoshop, and then the Photoshop file disappeared. I was like, what the fuck? I was losing my mind. And I was like, you know what? There's no way that I'm doing that work again now. So I went to the gym, came back in a different headspace, and I found the file. It was just in a different folder. So it wasn't too much of a problem. What are we saying down here? Glenn, you're saying you worry about Rashford at the World Cup, not injuries, but his mental health. If you get, I'm not too worried about his. No, I think Rashford has taken his time out now, and he's been able to sort of reassess and replace himself. There's no doubt that there will be a scapegoat for England after the World Cup, just like there's a scapegoat for England every single time. I imagine the scapegoat will probably be Gareth Southgate this time, especially if James Maddison doesn't go to the World Cup. The England squad, I believe, gets announced today. Let's find out there. Let's see what else he's saying down here. Ten Hag is doing the same with Jaden. I don't know. What else have I got up here? I might save that. I was going to have a conversation about Ten Hag's press conference, but I think I might save that for the video that's going to be going out later on. Speaking about the World Cup here, mate, I did. I think I did. Anyway, I found it. But it's a little thing. Varane has been included in the French World Cup squad. And congratulations to Varane. When we all saw him going off in tears against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, it was like, oh, man, that sucks. Obviously sucks for United, but it sucks for Varane. And he's managed to recover and recuperate. And I mentioned this on Twitter yesterday. I said, look, it will probably suit United for Varane not to go to the World Cup. For Varane to sort of, have a month off, chill, recuperate, rest. Yeah, nice. But there would have been a mental toll on Varane had he not been part of that World Cup, because it would have been something he was working so hard towards, and it got taken away from him. So I'm glad for him. I just hope, for the love of God, that he doesn't get injured. I really, really do. That's why I think so. And I think that's a really good comment there. I think it's fantastic that traditional macho attitude is changing and players feel safe talking about mental health right now. Having experienced what I've experienced over the last few years, maybe it's just called turning into an adult. I don't know what it is, life experience. I've seen the importance of mental health far more from a personal perspective. You remember that video I did a long old time ago. And yeah, I understand the importance of taking a break, of taking this, allowing yourself to step away from the situation to then step back into it in a different mindset. And these players don't really get that, do they? Because they're playing on Wednesday, Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, in and out, in and out. It's crazy. But yeah, and you're right there. It's good that players can start speaking out about it. And there is the taboo of male mental health is certainly far less than it was a good few years ago. And I think that can only be considered a good thing. In the complete opposite sense, something that can only be considered a bad thing. This is a based off the back of the interview, or what interview? The article came out in the Telegraph. Was it yesterday? Day before? I think it was the day before, actually. Saying that Ineos are not interested anymore in buying an elite level Premier League club. And James Robson here, I think works for Goal, is just saying the same thing, that Jim Ratcliffe has dropped all interest in buying Manchester United. As I said, I don't particularly know what's changed since the summer where they wanted us. And since, what was it, last month where he said he was interested in buying us. And maybe it's the Glazers telling Jim Ratcliffe, like, it's just not for sale, it's not for sale, it's not for sale, it's not for sale. We're not selling, we're not selling, we're not selling. But this is why this is so important. So 1958 and the TRA are working together now. The TRA is a section inside Old Trafford. I think it's around about 2,000, just above the tunnel. It's the best atmosphere I've ever sat in inside Old Trafford, by far and away. It's like an away end. It's amazing. And the 58 are working with the TRA now, which means that there's going to be more flags and more visibility inside the TRA. And that's, of course, if just above the tunnel where the players walk out. So that should hopefully give more of a visual protest during the games. And there's still people that are slagging the 58 off. There's still people that are slagging anything off, saying, oh, why are you not emptying Old Trafford? Why are you buying season tickets? You're the problem, you're the problem, you're the problem. And that infighting is so ridiculous. I can't explain it anymore. I've tried to educate people with a lot of the content that I've done, but there's still, I spoke about it yesterday. You can't help stupid people. Stupid is stupid. And no matter how many times you talk to a stupid person, they're still stupid. And you could try your hardest, but you're banging your head against a brick wall. This, Anthony is saying, why wasn't this done before? It's fan culture, especially match day going fan culture, is fucking difficult. I wouldn't say it's a political minefield, but it's extremely hard to get it all working together under one banner. It's extremely difficult. And people don't understand the nuances of it. They really don't. And that's what I mean about trying to explain it to them. The ultimate aim, I wouldn't say it's the ultimate aim of 58. I can't speak on behalf of 58, but I know full well that the idea of emptying Old Trafford is a conversation that is constantly being had. But it's not something that we can do on the flick of a switch because somebody on Thursday night has tweeted a hashtag about it. It's not realistic. It's something that's going to require so much planning and unity. It's a bit like the nurses right now. Big up the nurses, by the way, in the UK. They've organised their first strike, national strike, in their 106-year history. It's extremely difficult for that to get organised, but they after, in the current situation, I won't get into politics, but they're striking. I imagine there will come a time at some point this season, I hope, where that concept of emptying Old Trafford is a genuine possibility with a lot of planning, because it's not something that can be decided a week beforehand. Oh, yeah, on Saturday, walk out at like 12 minutes. Go on. Yeah, cheers, boys. It's just not possible. I think it happened once last season, and it didn't quite work. If it happens, it will be months in advance, I would probably argue. And that could be, it would be phenomenal if that could happen. But at the same time, if it happens, and it doesn't happen properly, then it undermines the whole cause. It undermines everything. And that's why it has to be done right first time. And it's better to wait and wait for it to be done correctly than for it to be done sooner and wrong. And that's something I firmly believe in. That's something I believe the 58 believe in. And it doesn't matter how many people scream about it on Twitter or on social media. It has to be planned properly. I can see down there. Is it the Godfather? It is the Godfather again. The Godfather Gungshi is down there giving 5 Glazers Out memberships to Sinico, Otto, Evan, Watnight, and Joe. Yes, you're absolute legend. Papa Gungshi, Ledge Gungshi. What other names has he got? Gun Gungshi. Got in late today. What a Don. Absolute Don down there. But look, I'm looking forward to watching the game tonight. What's your prediction, actually? I didn't speak about that in the comments. Fire them in down below, and I'll give mine at the end of it. I don't think I gave mine at the end of the starting 11 video. I forgot about that. But what is your prediction for the game against Villa tonight? They're going to be bang up for it after beating us at the weekend. First week of Unai Emery. Imagine the idea of beating United twice in a week and at Old Trafford. Brilliant. What a way to start under Unai Emery. They'll be coming full strength team. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same team that beat us on Sunday. Why would they change? Therefore, United know what we're going up against. Let me see what down here. That cracked me up there. Fancy another West Brom. Do you remember that? Lukaku scoring a hat-trick in Fergie's last game. 3-0 United with a brace. Norfolk and good. You're saying 5-3 to United. 5-3, imagine that. 2-0, 2-1 United after extra time. I forgot it's extra time, Pens. 2-1, 1-0, 2-1, 2-1 win. Pens, 2-0, 3-1 loss. Less of that from you, Matt. Might be right. 2-1. 2-1 says Wendy. 3-0 winners. 2-1. Yeah, they can be. Probably why I don't want De Gea in goal. Subconsciously, that's why I don't want De Gea in goal. It looks like Warren is down here. Yes, Warren, my man. My man. Warren's down here gifting 10 as well. How you doing, Warren, man? Nice to see you. What done? Let me find out who the lucky 10 are in amongst all the predictions. There's so many predictions that have been fired in, by the way. We've got AJ, Nithesh. How you doing, Nithesh? Correde, Aaron Cleland, Mark C, V33, Stinky Chops, Blanco Coolin, Chiabuku, you've got one, and Dave Wild. You are the lucky 10 there tonight. My gut is telling me, Alex, I'm gonna agree with you there. I'm gonna go for 2-1 United. Obviously, I got it spectacularly wrong with my prediction at the weekend. I think everybody did. No one predicted us to lose to Villa. I'm going to go for 2-1. It is not going to be a game where I think we dominate. I think it's going to be a game where we come with this. I imagine we'll come with a Spurs level of intensity because of what happened away at Villa. Because we know that Ten Hag knows that these players have got to do that to set the tone and Old Trafford. If we do that in the first 20 minutes, it will take the wind out of Villa's sails and it should allow United to control the game and dominate the game. I'm going to go for a 2-1, Alex. I think that's a correct prediction. That's what I'm guessing. Warren G. Damn it! How did I not remember to call him Warren G? I'm offended. Nate Dog. I'm sorry. Warren G. That's who you know now. Oh, you got gifted one. Well, congratulations, my friend. Yeah, Dave, I would agree with that. Ten Hag has learnt from his mistakes against Brighton and Brentford. We won 4 on a bounce. We learned from our mistakes against Sociedad, and he hasn't rotated the team that much since. The City game, he learned what these players will do once they've stepped away and get like a month without a game. That's the sort of performance you can expect. And it was the hardest game of the season. It was unfortunate that happened. And yeah, I imagine he's going to learn from this Villa game. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. Indeed, Paula, we should all regulate down here. Jeez. I was listening to Tupac this morning on a walk. Big up hip hop. I love hip hop. I'm sure you do too. But look, I'll wrap it up for tonight. I might do a video now that goes out at lunchtime. It depends what I'm feeling. But that Ten Hag press conference really impressed me. Obviously, it was his way of creating a closer bond with the fans. I think that was a really smart move. Really, really smart move. But make sure you join in later on. I'll have my match reaction, hopefully after a 2-1 win against Villa. And then tomorrow, trust me, you want to join in the Friday stream. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But make sure you follow the Twitter account and Instagram for some teasers too. But take it easy, everyone. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Gungshi. And thank you, Stu. Yeah, remember that, everyone. For all the community members you've gifted memberships to. Take it easy, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.